This is Gala, the AD carry for LNG, playing Ezreal Blitzcrank into Ash Melio. This is a solo queue game on E West. Played about Diamond Elo. Just arrived for the Worlds bootcamp just before Worlds, and I thought we'd have a look at how he approaches the game from the AD carry position. Obviously, an incredible player. I think he's like 18-0 right now in solo queue. And yeah, let's just see how he responds to things and kind of what we can take away from it, applying our own solo queue games. Maybe we've got some learnings from the matchup, how he approaches mid game, what his mechanics are like. Let's just chill back and relax, take a bit of a watch, see how it plays out. We're not going to skip around in the VOD. We're not going to do any crazy reviewing or anything like that. We're just going to sit back. We're just going to watch him play solo queue. Just move this chat up a little bit. So interesting to see. Went for some wards level 1. Blitzcrank's obviously a pretty good invade champion, so makes a lot of sense. That's what he's doing. And let's see how he approaches the matchup. Obviously, he's not leashing. To anyone who still leashes as an AD carry in 2024, really recommend not doing that. It doesn't set you up for much success. Now, instantly cues the wave. Now, this is interesting. What I like to see Ezreal players do is immediately start stacking their passive on the wave, because that allows you to get more attack speed. It allows you to get push in matchups where you otherwise can't get push. And if any combat does happen, then you have a massive boost of attack speed ready to go. We always want to be queuing off cooldown. Look at this. He's already got 5 stacks. That means he has 50% increased attack speed. That's insane. That's like so many daggers worth of attack speed. That's a crazy amount, right? So he's using his Qs on the wave intentionally. Hasn't even attempted to fire one at the enemy AD carry. Purely with the emphasis on getting push. Instantly ease forward. Doesn't hesitate with that at all. And look, the attack speed is just doing absolute work. Keeps it up the entire time. Beautiful stuff. Just really good play. Very intentional about his ability usage. Doesn't flip any auto attacks on the enemy champions. Nice dive coming through here on level 2 on the enemy Blitzcrank. I haven't seen this VOD before, so not exactly sure what happens. Melio's probably going to flash forward, but perfectly good 1-for-1 because Ezreal crashed the entire wave into the tower. As we can see here, Ash is missing all of these minions, whereas Ezreal is not missing anything. Basically, 1 or 2 of these minions are going to die while Ezreal runs back to lane. But other than that, completely really good 1-for-1. Also interesting to note, he elected to hold both of his summoner spells. He didn't flash or cleanse, which is really, really nice to see. Just pure intention, going for that 1-for-1 on purpose. Don't need to flash. Like flashing or cleansing away from the Melio doesn't really do anything if he wants to base and spend his gold. So really, really solid stuff. So just to recap so far, queuing the wave a lot, keeping up his passive stacks, getting push, and then using that push to enable his support to get that hook. Really, really awesome. Now he's letting the wave come back towards him. He's not trying any crazy stuff in terms of holding the wave. He does miss a Q there, which is fair enough, but pulling the wave at his tower now. Good last hitting, prepping that cannon. You have to do something to get that cannon in the early game. You can't just auto attack it when it's low. It won't work. See how he goes with these. He's doing pretty well in last hitting so far. Preps that one with an auto, then Qs it. We see the mark is spawned on the bot crab now. So Kindred's going to be redeploying on the bot side for that one. We see Sejuani, the enemy jungler, on a ward down there as well. Assuming that mark is now gone. Continues to push the wave with Qs. Stacking this big wave into Ash. It'll be interesting to see what he does when he crashes his big wave. Really nice trades he's going for here. Look at him holding his Q on Melio. Wow, that was incredible. Yeah, we might have to rewind and just watch his 2v2 because there's just so much happening in terms of the precision of his ability usage here. We'll play out this dive and see what happens here. Are they going to try and dive the Sejuani? Looks like they are. Blitzcrank opens up with the knockup. Beautiful last hit by Ezreal here, and then he's just going to crash his wave. Let's just watch this one more time in terms of how he navigates this 2v2. I'll just backspace a little bit. So as he's shoving in the wave here, notice how he's got pure intention with the wave. He's not over pushing a whole lot. He's fishing for these Ws. Now, these W into E is one of these combos that you see a lot of high-level Ezreals do that are not a lot of low Ezreals do. But look at that. He's landed his W onto Melio, and then he E's forward, and he's got his Q this whole time. He's holding it until the last second. That's just beautiful play. Freaking out the enemy carries there, making it so their mental stack is completely overwhelmed, and then throws the Q when he's in the nook and he can't dodge it. Instantly turns into Ash with auto attacks. Holding his sums this whole time as well. He's got what? He's got 3 kills, 1 death right now, and he's hasn't blown either sum. So yeah, just really awesome to see. Broken the rule about going back and having a look already 4 minutes in, but definitely needed to have a look at that. Cool. So waves at the enemy tower. He pushes this wave, and then I assume he's going to instabase. Nice E to safety. Let's have a look at the HP of the plate. The reason he doesn't go for this, guys, even though he probably could have got this plate with 2 autos, is it would have ruined his tempo. And then the Emilio would have cancelled his recall, or at least tried to, and he'd have to recall really far away. And then he would get back to lane really late and potentially lose some of this wave. But because he based so quickly, even though he missed the plate, he's now going to get back to lane before these minions even come close to hitting his tower. And he's going to be able to get most of the farm, which is really good. Really, plates in the early game are usually a bait. Like you can't get kills, reset the wave, and get a plate and then base. You usually have to pick one thing or the other. So you're either like staying on the map and getting the plate, or you're basing on not getting the plate. That's usually what happens. So it looks like his support has roamed top at a base here. We see the enemy jungle up there now as well. So we'll see how aggressively he plays. He's potentially in a 1v2 situation now. So he's looking to last it. Emilio walks up, spacing really well here. I see a lot of people in this position kind of freak out and need to E backwards, but he's fully aware that he's in 1v2 right now, so he's just farming with Q. Nice poke onto the Emilio. Trying to keep up his attack speed. Interesting that he's just using his W like this. Maybe he's trying to stack his tier, or not entirely sure, but I don't think he's ever going to E forward off laning with W like that. Holding his E for a very long time now. Getting that W auto. But W does so much damage in the early game as Ezreal. It's actually a really, really big part of dealing damage. Now Blitzcrank comes back, he instantly flips the switch and starts playing aggressive, hunting for the recalls. Look at him walking over this wall, boarding over the wall, trying to find the base. Looks like Ashe did cancel her base just here. So let's see what they do next. We see both junglers on the top side. Pure 2v2. Another W, into E, into Q. Gives Blitzcrank room to land a hook. Well played by the Blitzcrank. Now we can just full hit. Beautiful. Completely set up. Wow, that was crazy ult into Q at the end there. Wow, incredible. This game goes for quite a while, so we'll see how this goes. I think, not sure exactly what happens. His mid lane is not doing too hot this game. They do have a 3-0 Akali, so that definitely could come into play. But it's important to see what happened there. So he comes back to lane, plays safe until Blitzcrank comes back, and then when Blitzcrank is back, he nukes the wave. And then when the wave meets in the middle, he doesn't start smashing the wave and just pushing. He actually walks past the wave to take that extended trade. That gives Blitzcrank room to go for kills like that. You can't fight in the wave, but if you're ever so strong that you can kind of walk past the wave and force the enemy to back up like that, it's going to lead to really, really good situations. So now, same situation again. If you notice, he insta-bases, values his tempo very, very highly. Now he's running back to lane. Hopefully he's going to arrive back before the lane reaches his tower. He's smashing his lane right now. Now, if I were in his shoes right now, I'd be thinking about Dragon. So we'll see what he does in terms of facilitating this Dragon. The enemy bot lane do have priority right now, so there is a brief window where the enemy might try and do something in the bot river themselves. Gala has to just eat the wave for now. Or does he? He's just jumping on their heads. Hitting every single ability. Wow, he's really landing every single skill. Blitzcrank flashes in. Goes to the snipe on the Ashe. Actually hits it, but doesn't get the kill. Wow. This Blitzcrank's playing very aggressively, but you see how he's not afraid to just jump off the wave and start being aggressive. Definitely using his lead to deal a lot of damage to the enemies. Fighting in the Kindred ult here. See how this goes. Could be a bit rough. This Akali's really strong. Good hook by the Blitzcrank. Ease forward. Wow, really good sidestep there on that second part of the W by Sejuani. His movement was really clean there. He's just valuing his life very highly, and then he knows exactly when to E forward. He's really good at flipping that switch, which is what a lot of Ezreal players have to do. It's very interesting that he's just fought 4 people, but he's full HP. So he really knows his limits. He knows how to like dance on the edge while doing a lot of damage while staying alive. And now he's got a really good condition, right? He just got some kills, but he is full HP, half mana, and he wants his Triforce. How much money does he have? He's sitting on 1,700 gold. So he probably wants to base at some point. Still going for those W into E's every time he can. The wave's in neutral, so it's not exactly the best recall for him. Really accurate Q there. So I would be thinking about finding a base. Maybe he's going to ulti from Fog or something. It's interesting because he's already up so much. Like, he's already very, very strong. He probably doesn't need to recall. He's actually 3 levels above the enemy AD carry right now in 9 minutes, which is pretty absurd. So I would be thinking about basing, but it's interesting that instead he's just continuing to pressure, which I actually like it. I mean, he's sitting on 2,000 gold, so it's a bit flippy. If a fight does happen and he's sitting on 2,000 gold, then that might be bad, but His jungler was pathing bot. He's got prayer in his lane. He sees where the enemy jungler is. So I guess he has complete control of the game and he can just stay. And now I assume what's going to happen is he's going to push this wave. He's not going to hit the plates unless the plate's incredibly low, and then he's going to base. Spend all his money, then come back and start pumping them. So the plate is 1 HP. So hopefully he gets this 1 plate, then bases. Yep, he does. Very good. Basing outside the bush. He's very confident that he knows how fast the enemy are going to get back to the lane. Cutting it very fine there. If the Ashe was level 6, Ashe can actually ulti him there to cancel his recall, which is always a nice thing to do as Ashe. Or Jinx even with ulti. Now he's running back bot. He's got Triforce at 10 minutes. He's incredibly fed. Triforce and TZ Boots. 90 CS at 10 minutes. Doing very, very well. Wave's coming back in. That dragon is still alive. This could be a reason why the game goes for so long, but he doesn't value the dragon so highly. I always wonder whether these pro players playing solo queue, whether they're like actually playing to destroy the enemy nexus 100% of the time, or whether they're just playing to play their champions really well. Because obviously he's playing a very, very good Ezreal, practicing his Ezreal mechanics. But you'd think in a pro game, he'd probably be thinking more about this dragon. So not 100% sure. Maybe his goal is just money, right? Maybe he's trying to just get the plates as fast as possible. Gonna poke under tower a tad. Perma shoving waves now. They can't do anything. They can 2v3 if the enemy jungler comes. Very well. Keeping up his passive stacks. He actually missed his Q there on the passive. Wow, he goes for a W into E while the Akali's here. He's probably going to die here, I imagine. See if he can get himself out of this situation with a nice flash. Cleanses the ignite. Still cutting backwards. Flailing around of abilities. Eating forward. Gets Milio's heal. Walks out of vision before ulting. That was really nice. Walks all the way to the back of the bush, dropped vision entirely, and then drops the ulti. And he's still eating forward and landing all these Qs. So this is just a complete mechanics max. Intelligence-wise, like his wave state management was good early in terms of really intelligently playing for push. But in terms of what he's done in the mid game, he's just got strong. And then he's just statching people. Like I wouldn't recommend eating forward when the enemy Akali shows in the lane like that. He's just played it very well, and he's so strong that it doesn't matter. He also has a really good movement speed advantage with the TC boots as well. So he finally blows his summoner spells. It's interesting to note that he held his summons for 12 minutes, and then when he did use his summoner spells, he actually got really high value out of them. So he's killed the enemy mid laner, killed the bot lane, and taken the tower. So making very good use of his sums, which is interesting. And now he's deploying out mid. So Corki's still sitting mid. But this is where you want to be as an AD carry after breaking the enemy bot tower, is you want to be mid. You don't want to be top lane. Being mid is way better to progress the game because it gives you access to a couple of things, right? The shorter lane is just, you're harder to kill in the short lane. In the long lane, top lane, if you're actually sitting up there hitting the tower, you're way more vulnerable. But more importantly is you have more access to both sides of the map. So right now, Kindred's invading bot side. And because Ezreal is laning mid, he can actually lean towards the Kindred, get some safety, maybe impact the play if it extends, stuff like that, right? But if he's all the way top and Kindred wants to invade bot side, he's got no options. So not only is his lane safer, you can get more plates and stuff, but you also have access to just influence fights on the whole map, which is what you want as a snowballing AD carry. So he's just pushing in waves right now, damaging the tower whenever he can. Those W orders on the tower do really nicely. He's obviously got a Triforce, so he's doing bonus damage to structures with the Sheen. Killing it away. His team did get the dragon. The next one's not for a while. Kindred is ulting to secure the tower before plates die. Not sure how worth that is, but love the creativity there. Now we're just pushing the wave. The Rift Herald is coming up. He is sitting on 2,000 gold again, so I wouldn't be surprised to see a recall here. Now this gameplay here is not ideal. I don't like that at all, what he's just done. He's E'd forward and he has had to sidestep the Ashe arrow. And now what is he going to do? He's probably just going to base anyway. So definitely should have just based initially. He's getting a little bit cocky there with playing from ahead. Now he stayed on the map. This is really bad. So this is probably why the game extends so much, is because he's constantly doing this overstaying thing where now it's kind of hard to fight the objective. He's low on mana. His team's posturing for this Rift Herald, but he still wants to base, right? He can't possibly fight the Rift Herald. He has to base now. So given the Rift Herald to the enemy team purely because he randomly E'd forward on the mid wave, the Ezreal classic there. Now he's deploying back onto the map. Spends all his money, gets a fat item. Let's see if the enemy get the Riftel. The Sejuani should just do the Herald right here. Especially with LeBlanc going bot lane. So that's fine. But big mistake. I doubt he would do that if he was locked in. You don't get super high rank on the Chinese server playing like this. But mechanically, he's obviously incredible. Back on mid-wave now. Had to eat backwards. His team's fighting him a jungle, but he's putting a lot of emphasis on the mid-wave here. Potentially should be moving towards this play. Let's pan our camera a bit and see what's happening down here. It's a big fight, but by pushing this wave instead of moving, he is forcing the enemies now to react. And now he can move over, impact the play. Landing all his Qs on the Ashe again. Now he's just sieging down mid. Damaging the structure as much as he can. Fighting behind the enemy T2. Aatrox flashes. Still trying to land all his abilities. But I like what he's doing. He's fighting on his terms at the end of the day. Nice cleanse. Again, WE into Q, just incredible mechanics. I think him landing Ws and eating forward is a large reason as to why he's kind of winning fights. He's using his Q more so to get his attack speed up. Then whenever he lands his W and it is forward, he's just got so much attack speed that W makes him do so much damage initially that he just wins the fights. Also in the laning phase and in the skirmishes, but he's definitely fighting on his terms in the skirmishes as well. Like, yes, you can tell that he's using his strength. He's 10 kills. He's playing incredibly aggressively. He doesn't have to play this aggressively to win the game, but he's pushing his limits, and you can tell it's not just random, right? He's pushed the mid wave before taking that fight. He's not just rotating into the jungle and randomly fighting with his team. He's waiting for more conditions to be met before he actually fully commits, because that way, if the fight goes poorly, nothing really happens because you've pushed in the wave to the enemy base. Yes, you lose your shutdown, but the enemies won't be able to push because you've already pushed in the wave. So always want to be pushing mid lane as an AD carry before moving to any sort of plays. You see right now, again, his whole team is bot lane doing some weird stuff. Picking the Akali, what's he doing instead? He's pushing mid. This is limiting the enemy's options, and it's making it so he's going to have a turn. That's what you do by pushing in mid. You basically buy yourself a turn. Because now Ashe has to catch the wave. Ezreal can now go do something on the map. In this case, it's quite obvious what he's going to do. He's going to go ahead and do the dragon. This team's not doing too hot this game. They're doing fairly well. Like, the Blitzcrank played really nicely, landing really good hooks in the early game. The Kindred's quite strong, but his solo lanes definitely both lost. I guess LeBlanc has a bit of a CS lead, but it's alright. See, again, back to midwave. He used his turn to get dragon. If he were to rotate bot and go for this play right now, and it was to go poorly, enemies would be able to push up mid. So instead, he's just capitalizing on the fact that everyone's showing bot, and he's shoving the midwave. Then he goes to the play. So he's really got this mid-first attitude when it comes to playing fights, which is very, very consistent. The W into E. Landing his Q poke. Could he have overstepped here? He does have flash. He does flash out. Bit of an overstep there. The E forwards on the Ezreal is always going to be a scary situation. He lands another W. It's just W's are crazy. Like, he's making the W look like a targeted ability. I don't think he's missed very, very many at all. So again, pushing his limits a bit, but push mid, move to his side, take a fight on his terms. How the fight goes is completely going to be up to his mechanics. Now, interesting to see where he goes next. LeBlanc is already mid, so the lane assignments are a bit cooked. Definitely don't want to be going bot lane, though. So probably just going to grab red and then take over the next mid wave, I imagine. Taking the red buff. Smacking the raptors a bit. Got some time to kill before the mid wave arrives. Now here's the mid wave. Now he can just push this in and see what he does next. So I imagine he's going to lean into the top jungle with his team. Whole team seems to be invading. Here he goes into the top jungle. We see a Kali bot. If we see the Sejuani on any of these camps, we can go for a kill. Oh, there's Sejuani. But he sees Ashe on midwave. It's kind of torn between the two right now. Just back up on the melee, which is good. He probably should have stayed in the top jungle, to be honest, and gone towards his skirmish, but he got the melee's flash, so it's completely fine. Fires an ult top side. Kills Sejuani with it. Now he's pinged Baron with his support here. They're going for this Baron nice and early in the game. 20-minute Baron, literally on spawn. Because he pushed in the wave so deep and got kills. I guess the benefit to going back mid there to kill the Melio was that the timer had actually run out on when he made people react to mid-wave, and he could just go push another mid-wave, make more people react, and then his next turn was Baron. So really simplifying the game here. He's just pushing mid-waves, making the enemy bot lane sweat consistently under the T3 mid, and then just doing whatever he wants. And then once his short timer elapses, he just goes back to the mid-wave. He's pretty strict about that, which is really nice. His mid-game is actually really structured around all these mid-waves. Look, he's just on it again. How much gold is he on? He's 1,500 gold again. He really values his tempo a lot instead of basing for items. Staying on the map to invade because he's got pushing waves, right? He wants to utilize the pushing waves. Okay, this is... I guess the Kindred can ulti. But I still think he's E'd forward into like a couple of assassins here. Yep, he's not. We could have predicted this going poorly because we had no information. No one had showed on the mid wave that he shoved in that the enemies actually just dropped the mid wave entirely. And the Corki was showing on the bot wave. So, pretty bad E forward. But it happens. This Corki's kind of smurfing. Gave 1,000 gold to Akali, so the game's going to slow down a tiny bit now. Pretty annoying getting ace with Baron. And really have slowed down, down the game now a little bit, but it should be pretty easy to close out from here, regardless. I think it's not going to be too much of a problem. We'll see what happens when he spawns. Really just delaying the game there unnecessarily. Comes back on the map. Spotted Tunneler. I think that goes towards Sphere of Shojin, which is probably his next item. And now this dragon is our next objective. We'll see if he goes for the dragon or if he just sieges up and pushes deep into the enemy base. Probably doesn't need the dragon to end this game. It's not super far ahead of the whole team though, so I think I would go for the dragon here. You can just push mid, pin them to tower, then go for the objective nice and easily. Blanc goes for a play here. Holds his E forward this time. Hopefully. He does. Dodge on the arrow. He's holding his E this whole time. Now he has E for Akali. Holds it again. Wow. Then he uses it to go forward. Crazy. Okay. Good hook. Aatrox going top lane kind of saves the situation here for us because if Aatrox came mid, this could have been a bit dire, but he played it very calm and collected, holding his E. Didn't just E when he saw Akali. Made sure to actually E on a specific angle to maybe land another Q. Trying to go in for the wave clear. Tanky. He's not afraid to use his E for damage again. Gonna push this in. Very risky forward. Does have his team with him this time though. Another E forward. Okay, he's half HP, taking tower shots now. This is not ideal. Sejuani's up in 20 seconds, so they do have a little bit of time. If they can just break this tower, I probably wouldn't stay for the inhibitor. This is pretty risky. They're just sieging up randomly. It's a pure mechanics test as to whether or not he's going to be okay here. They need to back up and go do dragon. Ezreal's really good in these like extended siege situations where you can just throw 1,000 Qs at people, especially with the blue buff. But this is still risky. Definitely doesn't need to do this. Okay, now he's taking the fight with his team. He's over the wall, playing with the Corki. Fighting back into the jungle this time to play with the Kindred. Oh, he's forward in the face of the Sejuani. Is he going to die? He flashes through the Akali R2. Incredibly chaotic once again. Definitely not the most ideal way to play this fight. Can play it a lot slower. I mean, to be honest with you, he's sitting on 2,000 gold again. He shouldn't be doing it. This is a bad example of how to kind of progress a game. He should be not even sieging the mid T3. Honestly, after the first initial skirmish of killing Sejuani, he should just do dragon, base, spend his gold, and then redeploy on the map. That's what I would recommend doing there to have the most consistent outcome, but He's just testing his mechanics. Nice flash by Kindred him. Now he's got his 4 items. Blowing a flash and losing a fight as an AD carry is a really good sign that you've done something wrong. As obvious as that sounds. Now respawning onto the map. Enemy team get to farm up the super minions right now, which is not fun. Dragon's still up. He's probably just going to pop this red buff off, and then, to be honest, because with how we've watched him play for the last couple of minutes, he's probably just going to run down mid and try and kill enemies to end this game instead of playing for objectives. He just believes he's a lot better than his opponents, it looks like, because he can just win fights based on mechanics, but he's certainly lost some fights. So we'll see what he does. Dragon's still up and available. Kindred is only just spawning now. Enemy team are TPing on the mid wave. You can't see it on the spectator, but that minion is being TP'd on. Fight happening in the bot river, in the bot jungle, I should say, but he's pushing mid again, ignoring the fight. Always pushing mid first before attending plays. He's forward, fighting the Akali, just pure stat check. Yeah, they're all in the corridor, getting hit by absolutely everything now. He's forward again. Beautiful hook by the Blitzcrank. Forced Aatrox to respond to that mid wave, interestingly enough, by pushing mid. Now he can just shove bot. Ezreal takes towers really nicely once again with those W's and Sheen procs, so we'll see if he can close the game out here. Other than ability usage stuff, just the fact that he's going back to mid wave so often in these mid game sequences and not skipping steps to try and make plays with his team is really, really good to see. Like, it looks chaotic, and yes, there is definitely some chaos behind this and pure mechanics testing, but he is constantly getting mid waves, then walking into the jungle with his team. And if plays happen while he's on the mid wave, he's pretty stoic about it, right? He just stays on the mid wave, makes people respond, and then uses that to his advantage. That also is why he's so high CS, right? He's 243 CS at a 27-minute game, but he's died quite a few times, and he hasn't really taken any jungle camps. So really good stuff. I mean, a lot we can learn from this in terms of ability usage, Ezreal specifics. Mid-game macro especially was really interesting to see. And a lot of chaos that we probably need to remove from the gameplay if he wants to be consistent. I guarantee when you see him play on the world stage, he will not be eating forward on mid-wave like this. He'll be playing a lot more reserved, a lot more calculated, and then the aggression will come out when it needs to. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions specifically about the game, let me know. I'll be sure to answer you, and see you in the next one.